go to jail without adequate evidence, or their bodies are found in the trunks of cars. Now that's a very grisly thought, especially if you're a car manufacturer. You can't sell too many cars if you've got a body in each trunk, right? So no, we don't want that to happen. To this point, I'm totally in agreement with him. I think what he's warning us off is correct. Except that for some people, like RTI activists, or poor Adivasis and Dalits in the lockup, or people who fight against displacement, the Banana Republic treatment already happens. There are categories. You see, a banana goes rotten from one end to the other. It hasn't reached the end that Mr. Tata is at. So, we'll leave aside his plantation for a minute. And my only disagreement with him was that he appears to see the media, in that republic, he seems to see the media as the biggest banana peel. So he's gone to the court asking for strictures against the media. Me, I don't think that. Have you ever seen the media being disrespectful to Mr. Rattan? Forget it. Forget it. The media are not anti-Mr. Tata. They're not anti-big business. They're not anti-corporate. The media, the dominant media, remember always I use that qualification, are in my view, and this is one of the first things my students will bear out, I tell them each year, the media are essentially stenographers to power. That's one of the things the tapes show you. They are stenographers to power. Okay? And one of the things I tell my students is that at some point in your careers, you'll have to take a decision. Am I a journalist or am I a stenographer? I can see students from many different years of the past. I think they will agree that I have told each and every one of them this. Are we going to be journalists or are we going to be stenographers? Because a heck of a lot of what passes for journalism today is essentially stenography. And it is stenography to the powerful, especially to the corporate powerful. So I would advise Mr. Tata not to lose too much sleep over the media. What do the tapes show me? There are journalistic things that the tapes show you, and there are non-journalistic things which I think are much larger. If I take this whole Radia drama as a giant epic drama and divide the dramatis personae into various categories. If I divide them into different categories. Lead actors. I use the word lead actors because in this drama there were no heroes. Lead actors, main villains, say supporting cast, third category. Minor baddies, that is the guys who say yes boss in the films. The extras, the wardrobe in charge and the makeup artists. The journalists would struggle to make it to the first three categories. Radia would. The journalists start at category 4 or 5, which is comic relief. Now, what happens here? See, a lot of journalists and especially editors of venerable experience love to imagine they're running the country. It's actually extremely fortunate that they're not. Okay? But they like to think so. So it's damn good that they're not, and we're all spared that ordeal. However, see, it depends on what you're looking for. If you're looking for evidence of journalistic misconduct, if you're looking for evidence of journalists crossing ethical boundaries that they should not have, if you're looking for some journalists who did something that was awfully wrong, if you're looking for journalists who violated basic canons of the profession, of the ideals of the profession, if that's what you're looking for, then the journalistic tapes and transcripts are very vital. Yes, because all this happened. There is serious journalist misconduct. If you're looking for the guilty in the 2G scam, if you're looking for who's running the country, this is the wrong address. Now, if you look at the tapes as a whole, what do they show you? They show you who runs this country. Once again, they're not the only things that show you that. What do they show you? What do they show me as running the country? Corporate power. Now, personally, I'm not at all surprised by the fact that a corporate lobbyist for the two biggest corporations in this country, for the two biggest business houses, can not only determine which newspaper will carry what story on which page and who the story will be written by. This has been going on for 10 to 15 years now. It's not terribly new. It's terribly bad. It's not new. It's like you have every right to be horrified by it. Don't be surprised. Because there has been a process at work of which this is a natural outcome. If you want to understand why, that's the whole purpose of this talk today. We'll come to it in a moment. So if you're looking for who runs this country, if you're looking for what power drives this country, understand this. The corporate lobbyist means nothing without that word corporate. The lobbyist in himself or herself has no gigantic independent clerk without the backing of those two houses. If that backing is withdrawn, the lobbyist loses 75% of the strength and support that is needed to do that kind of work. What the tapes show you is that the biggest corporations in this country are able to decide who will be minister, who will hold which portfolio, who will get how many portfolios. They're able to influence this, if not always determine it. Again, there are very good reasons for that. So I'm saying in that sense, the tapes are a revelation and an education in terms of reinforcing what you knew earlier, that you are being told again now in very, very graphic, in a very vivid and interesting way perhaps, but actually some of the tapes are pretty boring. In the journalist side of the tapes, I personally felt it was wrong to lump all of them together. There are very different things happening in those tapes and in those transcripts. They range from the completely irrelevant blather that journalists do on the phone. Let me put it this way. There is one transcript where there is a serious whiff of quid pro quo. There is one transcript where the journalist sounds like a waiter taking an order from a favored customer. How would you like your roast, well done or medium? Yeah. There is one where there is evidence, but there is one who has committed serious breaches of ethical propriety. Serious breaches of it. There are a couple who are just bragging. Now this is an occupational hazard. It's a disease that comes with journalism very often. They're just bragging. What also happens is that a lot of journalists exaggerate the access they have in the idea that you will gain more access. So you say, as I was telling Rahul the other day, I told Sonia ji not to do this, and that's why it's not happening. So this kind of blather it is a endemic disease in this profession. So one is showing off and the other is thinking that they're going to get more information of the person by exaggerating the access. Now I want to say one thing. Many journalists have got into this problem of thinking that you get stories by playing games. That is not correct. It is not true. Journalists exist aplenty who do not do this. Journalists, if you take a state, for instance in Maharashtra, typically there will be a group in any state in the country, there will be a group of people who think that you get stories by hanging out each evening with the chief minister's point man. You have a drink with him every evening. It's an old boys network, necessarily. That you're hanging out with the CM's PRO or some PRO or somebody, or you've divided yourself into warring camps, attaching yourself to the Anil Ambani camp. You can see that in the tapes. They're saying, I can publish it here, but my Bombay edition of the newspaper can't do it because they belong to the Anil Ambani camp. Okay, it's that pathetic. It's out in the open. It's out in the open. What kind of control? I'd like to draw your attention. You know what we're talking about in this whole damn tapes thing? We're talking about corporate power.